Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family, and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Father Malone's Halloween Roundup. That's right, Halloween is mere days away. I'm going dressed as a man with hope for humanity. And Ripley Jean is, I can't believe this, Ripley is going as a cheerleader. Cheerleaders are awful people. Oh, that's why you're going. Oh, okay, I can appreciate that. As such, we are going to be Halloweening it up this week with some recommendations from the days of yore. Every television series worth a damn will at some point break down and give us a Halloween-themed episode. I know, Roseanne made it a tradition. Lots of shows have had Halloween as a runner. But Ripley and I are delving into some one-off Halloween episodes you might not have been privy to, or maybe you don't remember, or more likely you're blocking them out. I'm a firm proponent of the notion that television itself is, and certainly was, the biggest proselytizer for the holiday, spreading the good word of costumes and dimly lit parties and candy just being handed out. They just give it away. With the end of sugar rationing in post-war America, and Ralph Cramden dressing like the man from space, and Ozzie and Harriet and Lassie and Andy Griffith Show all presenting Halloween episodes, how was it not going to explode? And there certainly have been a fucking explosion of Halloween episodes since the 1990s. We've all got our favorites. We definitely want to hear yours. Leave us a comment and set us straight on what we missed. And while you're at it, hit subscribe and like and 5 stars. And give me a review, even a 2-word review. How about this? Good show. Or me like. How about that? Can you give a thumbs up emoji in a podcast review? Does that count? The Count. Undead, undead, undead. Yeah, I agree. It's overplayed. Name a better song from Bauhaus. Stigmata Martyr. Man, you got me there. I'd also recommend their cover of Ziggy Stardust. Is it better than Bowie? Is that sacrilege? Yes, and yes. Speaking of music, speaking of TV, should I be monstering this up? Karloffing? Gather round, boils and ghouls. Maybe not. With my first choice, you're going to get a heaping helping of television, music, horror, boobs, and Ralph Mouth. Those are not in order of importance, but they are the ingredients that make the witch's brew known as Rock Devil Rock. This aired on October the 31st, 1982. 9-year-old me watched this with fistfuls of recently looted candied treasure. It's from CHiPs. That's right, the California Highway Patrol. I loved them as a kid. I hated them when I lived in Los Angeles, but at least here they were nice. And like I said, this episode has boobs. This is from their 6th season of the show, so paunch but no John. Instead, we get that blow-dried lost Bobby. Yeesh. Anyone remember the sergeant from CHiPs? That's Chris Pine's dad. Yeah, Captain Kirk. One of them. What do you mean? William fucking Shatner. Are you just trying to make me feel old? Anyway, Paunch and Bobby are assigned to protect Moloch, a glam horror rock superstar. He's the entire band Kiss in one body. It's 1982, so who are you going to get to embody such a rock god? Ralph Malph from Happy Days. Naturally. Donnie Most. Here he's credited as Donald Most. These days, he's just Don. I'm not making fun of him, not necessarily. Let's just say he was an inappropriate choice. Though granted, I can't see any real rock stars showing up for a cameo on the 6th season of CHiPs. That's what Elvira's for. Yes, she's in it. You should have known. I mentioned boobs. Is that reductive? Well, considering 95% of her material is boob-related, I think I'm in the clear. Anyway, someone is trying to kill Moloch. Then the writers managed to weave in the other scary rock myth of the day, backwards masking. Hey, if you play that one bit of Stairway to Heaven backward, it says, My Sweet Satan. Did you ever do that? Actually take the vinyl and spin it backwards? I don't know if it's on there intentionally or not, but it does sound like My Sweet Satan. Actually, it sounds like My Sweet Satan. Like Lon Chaney Jr. as Lenny from Mice and Men dropping by to invoke the Dark Lord. So anyway, Moloch is getting backwards mask messaging from a would-be assassin. And oh man, Paunch and Bobby are really inept. That's what I took away from a rewatch here. And the assassination attempts are elaborate, and they're only ever thwarted accidentally by our heroes. You want to hear some of Moloch's music? You know you do.
I was born to sin, wild and free. So when I die, let the devil take me. Devil take me. Heaven's a pits. They don't party on the other side. The other side.
Okay, this is a super weird connection, and it's musical, but it has nothing to do with this episode's music. At one point, Paunch befriends a young boy named Flippy. Boy, they are doing the Lord's work in the writer's room over at CHiPs. Flippy is played by Robert Trujillo. He'd become the bass player for Suicidal Tendencies, and he's the current bassist for Metallica. He is, in fact, their longest continuous bass player and on their fewest albums. You want another weirdo connection? That song you just heard, the lyrics were by Carol Connors. She wrote, and I love this so much, the lyrics for Rocky's theme. Let's get into the lyrics of that. Just a sample. Gonna fly now. That's it. And speaking of Halloween connections, this episode was directed by John Astin. That's right, Gomez Adams. Luis Guzman. Take off your tiny headphones and leave the studio. Right now. This episode has everything. Fire-breathing and candy corn. There's trick-or-treating and costumes and a Halloween party. Which costumes? Well, I spotted a mostly generic bunch of army guys and a devil girl, a witch, some guy with a pelt and a sword, a bunch of I don't know what the fucks. There was a pumpkin. Main cast members were Dracula, Lone Ranger, Robert Pine as Patton, and Moloch as Donnie Most. See, it's Halloween, and he can only go as himself. One thing about this episode I do actually love is that we get dressed down Elvira. The out running around and doing errands Elvira, so she's still got the hair and the makeup, but she's in jeans and a t-shirt. It's an Elvira t-shirt, naturally, which makes it somehow even cooler. What's the best ride at Knott's Scary Farm? Elvira. One last thing. When Moloch is performing his song, they keep cutting to shots of a huge crowd. Now, you kind of figured it was going to be stock footage, but then I noticed that the Prudential Center was being constructed in the background, and the John Hancock building, so the crowd for Moloch is mid-70s footage of a crowd on Boston Common, mixed with Southern California in the early 80s, Donnie Most in Kiss makeup, singing and dancing around on stage. Kudos, Mr. Astin. In fairness, the episode is actually well-directed. John Astin doing really good and interesting work here. Okay, let's get this hearse moving. H.P. and Stein, play it!
Come and listen to a dog that's hip. Here we go, it's Riff Picks, yeah!
Thank you, HP. Remember, this is not a competition. It is only an exhibition. Please, no wagering. This is what you chose? I love it. Remember when the thought of children in high school without undercover officers infiltrating their peer groups was unthinkable? Fuck you, due process. Fuck you, civil liberties. It's 21 Jump Street.
Fox Monday night is the night of the screams. Jump Street is haunted.
I looked that way once after an especially gnarly chili dog.
Gwen, Robinson, DeLuise, and Depp.
There's been some pretty weird stuff going on. Very weird.
I love this show. I watched it religiously in high school. It's so fucking earnest. And yes, I own it on DVD, but it's available right now on Peacock, where you need to go and check out Season 4, Episode 6. This aired the night before Halloween 1989. Like I said, Season 4, so Depp is totally checked out. He's short timing, he's got a calendar filled with X's. Some might say that led to a disinterested performance. I'd say he turns in his best performance on the show since Season 1. Remember, Season 1 was a whole other show. They had an ex-hippie captain played by Frederick Forrest from Apocalypse Now running the precinct. This was the time where Depp was trying to do shit like sneak in that his character was addicted to peanut butter, which is ridiculous, but he made good on that because if you see the 21 Jump Street movie with Jonah Hill, Depp is in a lot of the scenes disguised as a biker. That biker has a jar of peanut butter in his hand at all times. Here, he's always doing weird bits of business, and his delivery rivals Nick Cage at times. It's great. It only adds to the episode. In fact, this one's pretty good overall, I gotta admit. I don't think I realized until rewatching how languidly paced the show was, and they use every minute, which allows for a lot of odd subplots here. The main plot has Pamela Adlon. She's credited here as Pamela Siegel. She's the voice of Bobby Hill on King of the Hill, though to me she will always be Dolores, the little sister in Grease 2. You bowl me over! You tell him, kid. Here, she's playing a girl who claims to have psychic powers and is predicting a spate of arsons that are occurring at her high school. Is she the culprit? Of course she is. Only she's not, which means the show has the rare distinction of proving the supernatural in its world. Why not demon dogs and flaming skulls for Season 5? It couldn't be worse than Richard Grieco. As the show progresses, we get seances and ley lines and an entire homage to Close Encounters complete with pickup truck in Spotlight by Train Tracks. This was kind of a delight, and it has Ian Abercrombie as a psychic medium. Mr. Abercrombie is no stranger to the undead.
When thou retrievest the book from its cradle, you must recite the words Clatu Verata Nictu.
Clatu Verata Nictu, okay.
Again!
I got it! I know your damn words, all right?
That was him in Army of Darkness, though most will recognize him as Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld. Costumes on display in this episode for the main cast: Devil, Phantom, Elvis, Toreador. Peter DeLuise as Dracula with a bizarre half-wig that comes down to his eyebrows. In fact, they cover the eyebrows, and the eyebrows are part of the mask. It's very unusual. And Depp as Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver, complete with mohawk. At the high school dance, to the accompanying monster mash, we get a cowboy, a farmer, firefighter, there's a werewolf, a shrimp, a banana, a witch, there's a leopard, there's some flappers, and a toga guy, a fucking really good Andy Warhol, and a girl in a screen-accurate Starfleet uniform, Wrath of Khan era, where it was all burgundy and really militaristic, and Pamela Adlon in drag as a gold lame, bearded, star-covered wizard. Like I said, the episode overall is really good, but the ending was going for poignance. But like most 21 Jump Street episodes, it presents more morose. Just kind of another downer at the end of one of these. Why the episode does work is because of its authors. They managed to marry a police procedural and a supernatural investigation. Moreover, they have a skeptic and a believer who trade places over the course of the episode. I'm not saying that they inadvertently created the X-Files, but I will say that they were the best writers on the X-Files. Remember early X-Files? So creepy, so intriguing, terribly mysterious. That's the Blue Raja from Mystery Men. I know you didn't, but then nobody saw it. At the beginning of every episode of The X-Files, when the credits were playing out, if you saw written by Glen Morgan and James Wong, you were in for a treat. They'd go on to create the Final Destination franchise, writing and directing the first and third film. The third is the best of the series. Hands down. Sincerely. Comment all you want. Part 3, Roller Coaster, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Best of Series. They also created my second favorite sci-fi show of the 1990s, Space Above and Beyond. That's about a bunch of space marines as they face their first alien threat. The wild cards, baby. Vanson. Man, I loved Vanson. That show also featured the mighty James Morrison. I'd love to just cut in his recitation from the Iliad here, from Season 1, Episode 15, The Angriest Angel, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You know what? Fuck it. Here it is.
Looking darkly upon Hector, swift-footed Achilles answered, I cannot forgive you. As there are no trustworthy oaths between men and lions, there can be no love between you and me. One or the other must fall before then to glut with his blood Ares, the god who fights under the shield's guard. Remember every valor of yours, for now the need comes hardest upon you to be a spearman and a bold warrior. There shall be no escape for you. You will pay in a lump for all those sorrows of my companions you killed in your spear's fury.
Clearly, they didn't write that, but they had the good sense to put it in. Morgan and Wong, prolific fellows. And when it came time for the second season of Chris Carter's series Millennium, Carter found himself stretched too thin. He was showrunning X-Files and Millennium and gearing up for the X-Files feature film, so he turned the reins over to Morgan and Wong. And let me tell you, the second season of Millennium, if it isn't the best season of horror television of all time, it's definitely my favorite season of horror television of all time. If you remember, Millennium started out as a psychic profiling show. Frank Black, a former profiler from the FBI, has a unique gift that allows him to literally see through the eyes of the killer, including the killer's twisted versions of reality. Season 1 found him no longer with the feds, but working with a private investigation consulting firm known as the Millennium Group. He and his wife and daughter settled in a bright yellow house in Seattle, and the series was basically a freak of the week with connective tissue pointing toward a common warning that some form of apocalypse was on the way. It was good. It was a really good show. Solid writing, cinema quality in most cases, and anchored with the tombstone vocalizations of Lance Henriksen. Season 2, hoo boy.
We began with unanswered questions.
This is happening again. Haven't you learned your lesson?
We left with untold consequences.
They've tried to destroy the group, so now the group must destroy them.
We continue with unthinkable repercussions.
I don't want anything to do with Millennium.
Fear God, for the hour of his kingdom has come.
Believe the past.
This is who we are.
Beware of the present.
That is worth dying for, and that is worth killing over.
Fear the future.
I guess deep down I know this hour will come.
I can't turn my back on what I trust.
The second series of the phenomenal Millennium.
Morgan and Wong immediately fracture the family, sending everyone away from that yellow house. Frank gets drawn further into the Millennium Group, who are revealed to be one of the many groups around the globe all preparing for the apocalypse, either to thwart it or precipitate its beginning in order to control what's left afterwards. So while every episode is its own story, they're all pointed in one direction, and there's no missteps this season at all. There might be some poor execution and some sloppy effects now and again, but this season synthesized what pre-millennial hysteria was all about. It knew what urban myth was all about. It understood conspiracy theory as folklore, and it wasn't afraid to dive headfirst into the supernatural. Don't act so demure, you're already on the bed, as Roger Sterling once said. What were once oblique signs manifesting in Frank's mind are now prophecies. Some real, some very real, and all slouching toward Bethlehem to be born. The Curse of Frank Black was Season 2, Episode 6. It aired Halloween night, 1997. And in a season of television that is already head and shoulders above the also-rans and parallel thinking shows that emerged at the same time period, it manages to produce an episode that boiled the entire series down to 43 minutes of the sublime. This episode is nearly silent. It was loosely based on the classic Japanese anthology Kwaidan. a film we'll definitely be going to cover over on Anthology's Attack. We'll get to it, I promise. I'm saving it because that movie is special. We follow Frank Black on Halloween night as he takes his daughter trick-or-treating, gets waylaid by screaming Jay Hawkins, and comes face-to-face with the reality of the undead, and his potential place in the infernal hierarchy to come. After dropping off his daughter, Frank's car breaks down, leaving him stranded and forcing him to walk home. Along the way, he's shadowed by a demon. These sequences evoke a loneliness that haunts Halloween, particularly after the revelry has died down. It's a side of the holiday that's rarely photographed, and the episode has a neat Peter Greenaway-like game running through it as the numbers 2, 6, 8 and the word acts keep popping up, eventually revealed as Acts, chapter 26, verse 8. Why should it be thought incredible by you that God raises the dead? Frank finds himself back in the empty yellow house where that verse comes true, and he's faced with a real-life ghost, with an offer from the next world. The ghost is played by Dean Winters. You probably know him as Mayhem from those ubiquitous insurance ads, but he's done great work on shows like Oz and 30 Rock and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. His speech here is electrifying. Partly performance, definitely the writing. These two to me are to television what Karaszewski and Alexander are to film. Simply the best of the best. I'm sure if I were to compile a list of my favorite episodes of television of all time, Morgan and Wong would dominate it. And you can see improvement here, because that ending of 21 Jump Street was reaching for what they achieve here with seeming effortlessness. A Halloween episode that provokes genuine dread throughout while leaving you with a bit of hope. Not a happy ending, but a hopeful ending. Costumes on display here have Brittany Tiplady as Jordan, Frank's daughter as Marge Simpson. A screen-accurate Marge Simpson, a benefit from being on the Fox network. There's also a flashback to the 1950s with a cowboy, a hobo, a gangster, and young Frank Black as General MacArthur. I guess that would be his counterpart to Robert Prine's Patton over on CHiPs. And, in a tip of the hat to themselves, one of the Chigs shows up. Those are the armored alien warriors from their show Space Above and Beyond. The Curse of Frank Black. I don't know if you can find it anywhere, but you should. Go see it immediately. It's one of the best Halloween episodes of all time. It's certainly the most resonant one for me. Okay, we are going to round up this roundup, but here's a quick bunch of episodic television you should also check out. Beverly Hills 90210, and it's an episode called Gypsies, Cramps, and Fleas from 1995. How could that be any good? It's not. It's great, because it has the only live television appearance of Psychobilly God's The Cramps. I would also recommend any of the Addams Family Halloween episodes. They are all aces. That's John Aston's Gomez. Bite your tongue. There were 2 episodes of Happy Days, The Evil Eye in 1978, but the one previous to that, Fonsolectomy, Jesus Christ, they scared the shit out of me. But then again, I was 5. Lastly, and most recently, Brooklyn Nine-Nine has had a special Halloween heist episode nearly every year they were on the air, and they are all fucking hilarious. Whew, I think that's enough. We've recommended enough. You're all just going to watch Friday the 13th and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street again and again and again. From young Ripley and myself, I'd like to thank you all for listening, and I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that Halloween is all about the dead coming back and dragging you off to the netherworld. Tune in this Thursday. We've got a brand new Tales from the Dark Side centered episode. We're taking a look at 2 episodes from Season 2. Those are Effect and Cause and Monsters in My Room. I'll leave you with a bit of song from the greatest standalone Halloween television special of all time. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Anything can happen on Halloween. Your toenails go wrong and your hair turns green. Your teacher could become a sardine. Your dentist could turn into a queen. Has anybody seen my tambourine? I may start playing big in the beginning. The craziest night you've ever seen. This hairy, scary, creepy, crawling
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.